Hello, fairy finders and fairy seekers. Welcome to FaerieQuest. Today we're going to try something new that I'm going to call Faerie Talk. And what we're doing is inviting a fairy, that's F-A-E-R-I-E, so we don't know what species, through the door to ask questions and see what that fairy has to share with us. So we are going to use the cards. And these are the Enchanted Lenormand Oracle. They're absolutely gorgeous. And see if we can get the fairies to share some information with us. All right, so let's see what we have here. First thing that we're going to ask of the fairy that comes through the door is, are you male or female? Not that it matters, it's just easier for us with our conversation. So let's see what cards we have here. Okay, so the first card out here is the Crossroads, and it has a Queen of Diamonds on it. So the fairy that we will be talking to today will be a female. Next question we would like to ask is to please describe your appearance to us and see what we get here. Okay, so we have the Moon card. We have the House card, and we have the Stork card. So what that tells us, the communication that we have here, is that this fairy is her authentic self, always. And she's stocky, but she has really long legs, as the stork shares with us. The next question we'd like to ask is, what species of fairy are you? Now you guys might have to help me with this, because even though I work with fairies, I don't always know what species they are. I don't normally ask. I take photographs and I share with you what I get. So you might have to help me. Leave in the comments whatever you picture here for what this fairy may look like. So we have the Anchor, and we have the Mountain, and we have the Tree. So what this fairy is telling us is that they are extremely strong, like iron. They can lift heavy iron, okay? And she is very large, like a mountain. Now remember, she also has really long legs, and she's stocky built, and she's extremely tall, like a tree. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is either a giant or a troll. And like I said, if there's other really large, meaning tall, large, stocky, extremely strong fairies, I know no other names. So giant and troll, that's pretty much my limit here. So that's what we have. This is the fairy species. So I'm hoping that you guys can help with determining what fairy species we actually have here that has come through that door. And I know that's hard to imagine because, you know, if this fairy is a giant, like the mountain and the tree, then fitting through that door is going to take a stretching of the imagination. But you know what? We can stretch. Yes, we can. So the next question would be, where do you live? And we have the crossroads, we have the house, and we have the tree. What this is telling us is that this fairy has more than one home. And that's because they have access to other dimensions and other planes. So depending on where they're at, they have a home wherever they go. So far, she's pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, so the next question then is, do you have a family? And what we see here is the child, the house, and the anchor. And with the child, it is possible that she has more than one. Hard to tell from this card, but I do believe she has a boy for certain because it is a Jack of Spades here that's on this card. So we're just going to say she has a boy. And she also has a husband, a very loving husband, in fact, somebody who really is amazing to her, and she's very pleased that this is the man that she can call her husband. And we know that because it's the King of Hearts on this card. And he is a very loving, reliable, dependable, wonderful father and husband. And then we have the anchor, and that's her telling us that the family is what keeps them stable. It is her family anchors everything about their life. So I think next will be, what do you do for a living? And we have the crossroads, we have the moon, and we have the anchor here. And the crossroads is letting us know that she doesn't just have one job. She has a number of jobs. And those jobs, how they're chosen is they have to hold up under scrutiny. And what she means by that is that they have to have a purpose of some sort. They have to illuminate something. They have to be worthwhile for her to actually accept the job, keeping in mind that they go to other dimensions also to work, as she shared with us with the question, where do you live? And we covered that through here, the crossroads, the house, and the tree. Can you tell us how old you are? And we have the star, we have the house, we have the mountain. So the star, I take that to mean she's saying she's as old as the stars, but that I'm asking kind of a personal question and that there are some boundaries to the questions that we are allowed to ask. Keeping in mind, this is a woman. You're not supposed to actually ever ask a woman how old she is, right? So she's being fun here with sharing with us that it is personal and there are boundaries. I can almost hear her laughing as she says this. Okay, so let's see. What do you eat? And here we're going to go child, stork, tree. So the child, that's indicative of eating actually very little, not eating much at all. And what they eat actually depends on where they happen to be, which dimension, which plane of existence, if it's Earth, if it's Mars, if it's some place completely different that we don't know anything about, that's going to depend on what they eat. But what they eat is definitely always natural and organic. It isn't like Earth where there's nothing but chemicals, unless they have access to a garden here on Earth that doesn't have chemicals. So this is very important. Natural and organic is what their bodies need. So what material are your homes made out of? So we have the crossroads, we have the star, and we have the child here. And the crossroads are telling us that there's a number of decisions to figure out what to make their homes from. And this is, again, because they don't have just one place they have a home. They are on many different planes and many different dimensions. So how they build their home, what they build it out of, she's saying it's divine inspiration, magic, stardust, whatever it is that they are able to use in a particular location, what there is available. But whatever it is, whatever they create their home from, their homes are always new and wondrous, she says. They're absolutely phenomenal. So do you have currency or money, or use a trading system? And when I ask this question, obviously there's nothing here that really tells me we're going to talk about money at all. So my guess is that they do a barter system or trading system. But what she says is that it depends on how spotlighted the work is. And I think what she means by that is how important the work is. Whatever the work ends up being, they are always provided for. It's always free to build your home, to have a place for your family, because if you didn't, and it was kind of like Earth here, we would end up having to sleep in our vehicle until we could find a place if the job was something that needed to be done right now. So payment, whatever that is, kind of changes with each situation, with each location, with each job. So maybe some places it is a currency of sorts, and maybe other places, maybe it's a stork egg that you get paid for doing a certain job. Maybe it's having a permanent home in that location rather than just one that you build and go away from later on. Just guesses there. And then I ask, what do you do for fun? And we have the anchor, we have the mountain, and we have a tree. So she's saying here that they swim in the ocean, they climb mountains, and they just enjoy life. Don't really hurry through life at all. And of course, that's obviously not all that they do, but these are, some of the things that, at least that the cards can share with us, that are things that they do. And this particular fairy, who again, if you remember, she is stocky, she is long-legged, she's strong, she's very large, and she's very tall, or as large as a mountain and tall as a tree. So take that whatever way you'd like. I don't think she's that wide like a mountain, but she's just letting us know that she is very large. And so, they could probably walk across the ocean and with their heads sticking up if they're that tall. Or maybe not, but it's a thought, right? All right, so I really didn't want to push too far this first time with this conversation with this fairy. These are kind of questions to get to know her, and perhaps she will come through for us again at some point. But I did ask one more thing of her, and I asked her if she had any messages for all of us, okay, that are watching this video. And we have the star, we have the mountain, we have the moon, and we have the stork. So what she's saying here is we might want to seek divine guidance of some sort to get some clarity. And that clarity has to do with someone is trying very hard to block us from our spiritual path, to keep us from ascending to our spiritual birthright, I guess you could say. She's asking us to dig deeper for truth, to really illuminate any illusion that we might have concerning this whole thing. And once we dig for that truth, it's very important that we be the movement, help create change, turn the tide of things so that we can get back into our spiritual paths and stay on track and not allow anyone to block us from what is rightfully ours. She says the way that this communication went is really awesome for that message from her, because we have the star and we have the moon, both luminaries, and they're shining their light. It's like here they are, and they're shining their light all over the entire layout here. And also we have the star that is a positive card, the moon that is positive, and the stork that is positive, and they're all weighing down, crushing this mountain, crushing this obstacle. So she's saying here that as long as we attempt to do what she has suggested here, we're going to see some really amazing things happen for humanity. But this message isn't just for one person, it is for all of us. So, Fairy, even though we can't really have your name, we could probably create a name for you. We could probably try and figure out a name from the cards here, or I could, but I think I'd really like to let the viewers see what they can come up with for a name for you. And I'm hoping that we will be able to communicate with you again, and as we get to know one another, we can ask different questions, more personal questions, but not too personal. Yes, there's boundaries. We know this. So thank you so much for coming through the door and communicating with us like this. This has been actually a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that my subscribers and new viewers have fun with this as well. So everybody, that's it for the Faerie Chat here. And as always, take what you can from what's given in this video, and what doesn't work for you, just let it go. Until next time, take care.